The bill is passed.
From the soil to the sand, Israel should be banned.
You weren't straight about what happened initially.
I was very straight. I was straight from the very beginning.
Some Israel funding talk that has the political world buzzing. The indoctrination goes beyond the gender thing and now into global geopolitics. Jobob Bowman is still a clown. We'll maybe get to the Gavin Newsom stuff today. And a lot more on this episode of Daily Caller Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Jobob. Daily Caller Live starts right now.
2, 1.
Here we go!
Might be the only brown guy on earth named Jobob.
That is actually their name, Jobob.
Live from the even dingier bunker than the dingy bunker than we have been doing. Switching it up today. Part of the reason why we're super late today. But in the dingiest of dingy bunkers today, talking about a bunch of stuff going on that I thought was fascinating. I apologize for being, half an hour late as we usually go on. But I blame alternative things happening outside of my control. But fascinating thing to get into right off the top, Israel aid. So now the foreign war aid has been a topic of conversation for a while now, especially amongst Republicans, especially in the House. You've got that whole no more money for Ukraine faction, which is I sympathize more with. Then you've got the we must fund Ukraine, and now Israel's happening, and the same people kind of are making some of the same gestures. But regardless, there's a debate amongst conservatives and Republicans in both chambers, but also throughout the media, on what we should actually do in terms of aid to Ukraine. We already give them, $3 billion a year. And yesterday, the House, led by Speaker Mike Johnson, passed a new AIDS package for emergency funding for Israel in the war against Hamas. I believe it was a $14 billion thing. And I'll just play you the small clip from that passing of that bill on the House floor. Watch this.
On this vote, the yeas are 226, the nays are 196. The bill is passed. Without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Interesting. That's. I kind of wanted to play that just because you could hear the cheers. So most people, I think, are in with that. A bunch of Democrats voted no against it. 12 Democrats sided with Republicans. So what was it? 236 to a $14.3 billion funding package to Israel. Now, here's where this gets interesting. That'll then go to the Senate, which obviously if it passes through the Senate, and I think it likely will, it'll go to the desk of President Joe Biden. Here's the problem. Joe Biden has claimed or said that he's going to veto this. I think it goes to the Senate today. Who knows if they're going to backtrack on this, but this is John Kirby yesterday, spokesperson for the White House, talking about whether or not they're going to veto it. Well, okay, let me set it up really quick. A bunch of your swampy characters were trying to combine a lot of different issues into another funding bill. Remember how we always have these big omnibus funding nonsense garbage crap? Oh, somebody said, did it pass in the Senate already? I've been kind of out of the news, but let me I think this point still holds because we don't know if what Joe Biden is doing. But a lot of people were trying to combine this. They were trying to combine Israel aid with Ukrainian aid with border funding, which are three entirely separate projects, not projects, entirely separate things as in and of themselves that don't need to be entirely combined, and yet they were still trying to combine them so that I don't know, just political purposes. I am opposed to any big omnibus anything. This is obviously not the big omnibus thing, but it's in that same kind of tone, that whole we'll just combine a bunch of stuff and hopefully nobody reads what's in it. I hate all that stuff. We should never do any of that, and we should do everything on a issue to issue basis. The problem with doing something on an issue to issue basis in this particular instance is that John Kirby, speaker for the White House, or spokesperson for the White House, said this when it was before it passed in Congress. Check this out.
The president would veto an only Israel bill. I think that we've made that clear.
Okay, and so the Congress passed an only Israel bill. So the question is, will then Joe Biden veto this particular bill? Somebody let me know if it's coming in, if it already was a vote in the Senate. There was a comment there that said it already passed, and I was talking about the Senate. I don't know if that comment was like delayed a little bit, but I'm just scanning through things here. This little studio makes things so much easier than the other big, I guess, television studio. So let's see. But that being said, yeah, because it's not a one for all thing, Joe Biden is wanting to veto it, which I think would be a pretty bad political move. Mike asks, can't they just override his veto? If they have the votes, what is it? 2/3 of the votes. I don't think they would, which, is what it is. But let's see. Holy cow. This is what's fascinating to me in the comment section. There are some people having just alternative arguments. There's an argument going on that I'm like partially scanning as we're looking at this about Trump's fraudulent New York case, which is just the biggest load of BS that I've ever seen. But whatever, I guess. Hopefully the United States will wake up to the fact that I don't know, political prosecution is a thing. But anyways, you guys are so funny. All that being said is it remains to be seen again. I think, at least to my knowledge, as of right now, at the last, hour or so, Joe Biden still is holding to the fact that he's going to veto that because it doesn't also have Ukrainian money in there, and also border money, I guess, because those are related somehow, some way. But staying on the Israel topic just for briefly too, and I know that this is it's fascinating to see kind of the same trajectory that has been mainstream reporting that we saw in Ukraine, right? In the first couple days, week even, of the Russian invasion to Ukraine, the entire newscast was just Ukraine. Nobody cared about anything else. It's just Ukraine. Then the next several weeks floated by, and the newscast would lead with Ukraine, and then now it's, geez, does anybody hear about it anymore, like at all? And I think the news cycle is kind of doing a similar thing here with Israel. But so again, not to belabor on the point, but I did want to show this video. This is a video of what appears to be a teacher in Canada, a pro-Hamas teacher in Canada. Now, does she say she's pro-Hamas? I'm sorry. I don't want to assume this teacher's gender. That would be bigoted of me, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But this particular teacher, who may or may not be a woman, who's definitely a woman, read a poem from one of her students, and I'm going to play you the poem. One, I don't believe that the student entirely wrote this poem. I just am skeptical about everything. And two, if the student in fact did write the poem, I think it highlights a bigger problem, that the entirety of the indoctrination in schools is real and it's dangerous. I'm going to play this video, and you can see what you think, and jump to any conclusion that you feel is appropriate on how this student, 13-year-old student, may have gotten such a radical idea in their head. Watch this.
I want to read something to you. When did you write this? Right now. It's really nice. Okay. From the river to the sea, Palestine should be free. From our hearts and above, Palestine should be loved. From the sky to space, there should be no struggles Palestinians should face. From the ocean to below, Palestine should be known. From the soil to the sand, Israel should be banned. From the grass to the trees, Palestine should be seen. Wow. That was a really good poem.
Yeah, great poem there. From the, what did you say? From the river to the sand, Israel should be banned. Okay, hey, we're just gonna applaud a 13-year-old calling for genocide. Great, good. There we go. I don't want to make light of the situation, but holy cow, we are in for it. I mean, you obviously have the gender stuff being indoctrinated in kids, but also, I guess, geopolitics and global war efforts. Also, we're just gonna pretend that kids and the way that they think about things are, I don't know, should be taken seriously in any way, shape, or form, which is an insane proposition, but we still do it. Let me see. Where should we go from here? Yeah, you know what? Well, let's go to this. I don't know. I've been putting off talking about Gavin for so long, but we're going to talk about him today. But before we do that, I want to talk about the other side of the indoctrination going on in government schools. I believe that school is in Canada. If I if I were to believe the tweet that I saw from it. But the other indoctrinating stuff is this whole gender stuff. And I'm going to play you this video that some they posted. It's a girl posted about going to Taco Bell. And well, I'll just play it for you. Now, I didn't censor any of this, so be careful of your, I don't know, your ears. Anyways, watch this.
Disgusting. I just went through the Taco Bell drive-thru because I'm a whore for Taco Bell. And do you know how they greeted me? They said, "Hello, ma'am." And then after handing me my food, said, "Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day." Bitch, what about me says ma'am? I have a fucking red mullet.
Maybe it's the everything about you. That is, I think, the funniest thing. It's one, assuming that the drive-through person at Taco Bell would know your gender pronouns right off the bat. I don't know if you have them tattooed on your forehead. I didn't see them there. Maybe you've got a t-shirt that you've got on that says I'm they, them, or he, she, or they, whatever. Zer. But the one on the first hand is the assumption that everyone should know. On the second hand, on the other hand, the hilarity of thinking what possible rationale could this other person have? What possible logic could they be using to come up with the fact that I am in fact a woman? I don't know. Maybe again, it's the everything about you. And then on the other hand, I have three hands now. On the third hand, to then post it to the internet and think that you're not going to get made fun of, is just, it's just hilarious. This comment's funny. Gloria says, "Oops." Okay, that was not what I was. Gloria, funny comment, not the what I was going for. I was meant to click. So the way that this, just so you guys, the way that the comments flow through, I have to like stop them because they kind of just keep going, and then I click on the wrong ones all the time. But Gloria said needs to look in her underwear and see what God decided. Yeah, that's how you find that out. But this is the one I meant to bring up. You never know. She could have identified as a bull, which is a funny comment because of the septum nose ring that bulls have. I don't know. Funny. Um, you guys are still going on. You're still going on about Trump and Hunter in the New York case in the comments section. Like, you guys want to like sidebar that and like put it in the, I don't know, a message. Anyways. All right, moving on to this. This is more serious fare because I don't know. Gavin is a presidential candidate, and that's why I talk about Gavin. There's a bunch of people in the comment section. Hold on, what was this? Keith from earlier said Gavin ? Why ? We can do without him. Yeah, no, I agree with you. We can do without Gavin being on the public scene, but unfortunately he is, and he's running for president, and we should probably take that seriously, considering that he has a good shot at one being the nominee. And unfortunately, if you know Gavin, he's a slick dude, and it isn't out of the realm of possibility that he could weasel his way in and through the presidential election and wind up president of the United States. So that's why we need to talk about Gavin. That's why we need to take him seriously. He did an interview in apparently a hotel room that had no lights because this camera footage looks terrible. But he did an interview in which he's now touting the California COVID policy. Now, I understand that a lot of you don't live in California. I do live in California. And so I got to see firsthand the California COVID response. Now, I would like to, if you want to send me a comment, I would be curious to see what you thought, from an outside perspective, what you thought of the California COVID response. Was it robust and effective, or was it a laughingstock of the country? And I would imagine it is the latter. And yet, the presidential hopeful governor of California, Gavin Newsom, says otherwise. Watch this, and we'll discuss where we need to. Check it out.
What do you think was the biggest lesson learned in terms of what we did wrong that maybe you would do differently the next time around?
I'm not consumed by what we did wrong. I'm consumed a little bit more by what we did right. I mean, we led the nation in terms of, there's no large state that outperformed California, one of the top performing states in terms of health, wealth, and education. Let me be specific about that. On a per capita basis, the number of people lost their lives in California is substantially lower in places like Texas and Florida.
Okay, so we're going to pause there because that is a bold-faced, flat-out freaking lie. According to the numbers from the CDC, in 2021, the percentage of, or the rate of death was 99.9. So it was 100 in California. In Florida, it was 111.7. Now, Florida is a little bit higher, but to say that they did substantially better than the state of Florida is just a flat-out lie. And that's before you factor in 2020. The death rate in Florida in 2020 was 56.4, and the death rate in California was 68.7. In other words, California's death rate was worse, according to the CDC, for COVID in 2020. If you combine those 2 years being the worst years of the pandemic, it's basically a wash. And I didn't do the actual math on it, but I would imagine that Florida would even come out straight ahead. So Gavin's saying, well, California did better than pretty much any other big state, especially Texas and Florida, is just a flat out lie. That is like Gavin saying, I invented the airplane and have been I don't know, SEAL Team 6 commander for the last 48 years. I guess in theory you can say things, but if you say things and assert that they are true, it does not make them true in any way, shape, or form. He continues, and we will continue to fact check the greasy-haired creeked ball from California. Check it out.
We outperformed in wealth. We contracted at a smaller rate in 2020. We expanded at a faster rate, our economy in 2021, and we had less learning loss.
Okay, so to first comment on the economy component that he's talking about, in 2021, California's net out migration, because I don't necessarily think GDP matters all that much, especially with Democrats saying, well, the rich are getting richer. Yeah, that's what happened in California. But a lot of the people that build up the middle class in California bounced out of the state. In 2021, California's net out migration increased by 135%. That is not good, especially when those people are moving primarily, I think, for economic factors. Now, when he talks about education, I thought it's also interesting. The study, there's a study. I'm not going to go into. Well, there's a big study. I think it was the California Matters people that were putting this out. They go through a list of, and I'm not going to read this entire thing because it's expansive. The drops in math achievement in grade level. Santa Ana Malibu Unified School District minus 0.2 grades. Irvine Unified minus 0.21, Newport Mesa minus 0.26, Huntington Beach minus 0.27, Orange Unified minus 0.38, Los Angeles Unified minus 0.46, Riverside minus 0.46, Santa Ana minus 0.45, Long Beach 0.4. You get the idea here. The almost all of the public government schools had a learning loss in math and reading, which are the only things that matter. I think they had a big jump in critical race theory, and the problem with that is good luck getting a job with your critical race theory skills. It only works for about 5 people, 2 of them being Ibram X. Kendi and Patrisse Cullors. So to say that California did better in the economy, especially when you account for people that build up the middle class and the long-term effects of that moving out of the state, not good. And 2, the grade learning loss among the state is disastrous. So just flat out freaking lies here. Last thing we go to Gavin continuing to go.
We also acknowledge at the time we didn't know what we didn't know. And we're experts, we're geniuses. In hindsight, though, I'm not sure that we're as smart as we could be because we've never really done the kind of exercise of humility and accountability.
Again, that's an anecdotal one where he says, at the time, well, we didn't know what we didn't know. Well, here's the thing. You and your people tended to be very, very sure of things that you quote unquote didn't know at the time. Remember, I will give some grace to that sentiment of like, yeah, we didn't know what we didn't know. The problem is you didn't act like you didn't know. I would have loved if Gavin Newsom or Dr. Fauci or any of these people, honestly, minus like Trump did this, but I wish all of those other we believe in science people came up with any sort of skepticism in their own ideas and beliefs. Gavin was very, very sure of himself when he shut down public schools, when he shut down cities around the state, and when he effectively shut down every part of the state except for the parts that operate his wineries. So to say, well, we didn't know what we didn't know. Yes, I agree with that, and I like that kind of messaging coming from politicians. However, that's not the messaging that you were portraying at the time. At the time, it was get a vaccine or you're going to kill grandma, or stay inside or you're going to kill the elderly, or whatever they were talking about. The idea that they didn't know what they didn't know is true, but that's not how they were acting. They were acting very, very sure of themselves. We all see the lawn signs out in front of somebody's house saying, we believe in science here. And if you don't, you're so totally wrong. The signs didn't say, we're going to be cautious, but we don't really know what's happening, as Gavin is pretending that it is. Now, last thing on Gavin before we wrap it up, I saw this, and this is just the Newsoms cannot help but lie. Greg says if he's talking, it's BS. Keith says if Gavin ever told the truth, he'd burst into flames. He might actually burst into flames just spontaneously in general. I think he does that at home in the evenings. But I wanted to play this because having some intimate knowledge, intimate is probably not the best term. Having some firsthand knowledge of the topic that they're discussing here. His wife, Jennifer Seibel Newsom, who isn't his first wife, who's Kimberly Guilfoyle, just FYI, in case you didn't know this, Gavin Newsom and Donald Trump Jr. are Eskimo brothers. Why did I need to say that? There's no reason to bring that up. But his wife went on the same show, different setting, to talk about Gavin at home, what he's like at home with the kids. And I tell you, it's just, they can't help but lie. This is insignificant. This doesn't mean anything, by the way. This is not meaningful in any way, shape, or form. So then you ask, well, why do you bring it up? Well, the reason I bring it up is because it's completely insignificant, and yet they still decided to not be truthful on it. Watch this.
Thing. When the governor was on our show last year, he mentioned that you gave him the greatest gift. Here's what he said.
My Father's Day gift, greatest gift ever. The best. I'm not even making this up. An outdoor pizza oven.
Oh, wow.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I finally figured out I was buying frozen dough. No. Learn how to make your own dough. I'm the guy. It's a 4-hour hellish experience where you should just physically.
So you're
see
literally
it.
there making fresh
It
pizzas
takes
every
me 4
Sunday?
hours because each one has to be done, and one of the kids says, "No, not that."
So is that true? Is he really out there for 4 hours?
Yes, no, when he does something, he does it with complete attention and intention. I don't care how long it's going to take until he gets it done. He is one of those guys. I'm always like, honey, it's a lot quicker and simpler if we just go buy the dough. Nope, I'm making my own dough. It's better. He has a blast. No, it's fun. It's fun. It's a good outlet for him.
What's the best pizza he makes?
Oh, I love when he puts arugula on top in the end and a little of that truffle oil. It's really good.
Oh, well, that sounds good. It just thing.
All right.
When the governor.
Whoops. Why did that happen? Here's the thing. All of the things that they are claiming right there. Again, this doesn't matter. Whether or not Gavin Newsom makes pizza for his family does not matter. But I'm telling you, as a person with an outdoor pizza oven who makes dough routinely, the time in which Gavin says that it takes to do that is just factually inaccurate. And so then you get to the question of why? Why are you lying about it? Okay. Not to take you through a homemaking pizza process, which, by the way, everybody should have a pizza oven. It's the best thing ever. Making the dough, maybe, takes 10 minutes. Now, you got to let it rise, so there's that component, but that's like an overnight thing. That's not a 4-hour thing. You don't sit there and, I can't do anything until this dough rises. No, making dough is like 10 minutes, especially if you're making it for your family of 6 or whatever, how many kids he has. Second, if you have an outdoor pizza oven, the process is so much quicker than a regular conventional oven. If he was saying I made it in my conventional oven, I'd be like, okay, you got to pop that thing in for what, 20 minutes, 15 minutes? Frozen dough is more difficult to get than making your own dough. Again, I'm not trying to belabor a point that doesn't matter. I'm trying to point out the fact that they even lie about things that doesn't matter. If you have an outdoor pizza oven, chances are that oven gets to about 900 to 1,000 degrees, which is hot. You know how long it takes to cook a pizza? Not 20 minutes. If you were making 6 pizzas at 20 to 30 minutes a piece, if you want to account for all of that stuff, yeah, okay, 4 hours makes sense, but that's in your conventional oven. If you're making 12-inch pizzas in an outdoor pizza oven that gets to 1,000 degrees, which I would imagine his does, in other words, what's the point of buying an outdoor pizza oven if it doesn't heat it up fast? It takes about 45 to 60 seconds to cook that pizza thoroughly. So we've got 10 minutes for the dough. Let's call it, let's say 5 minutes to assemble each pizza. And then you got a minute to, and that's generous, by the way. I think it takes less than that. And then you've got the 60 seconds that it takes to cook the pizza. If the man makes 10 pizzas at that rate of time, maybe take you an hour and a half. And he doesn't need 10 pizzas. He's not making 10 pizzas. My point is, if there's no reason to exaggerate or lie about something, why do it? What benefit does it give you? Unless you're the type of person that cannot tell the truth under any circumstance, which I think Gavin probably is. And same with George Santos. I don't know why he came in for gigging, but I don't know. Jeez. Pizza. We do our pizza with the. Oh, interesting. Anne says we do our pizza on the grill with the lid closed. I feel like that takes a lot more. A lot more time. But that's probably delicious. Anyways, to end the week on that note, we'll just go ahead and do that. I realized this computer is so much faster than the computer that we use upstairs in the actual studio. But I don't know. Maybe we'll be down here. We're kind of reconfiguring how we do things here, so we might be down in the dingier of the dingy bunkers for the foreseeable future. So we'll see. But appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. If you haven't already, give me a follow on any of your social media platforms. Just type in JOBOB. You'll find me pretty much anywhere. On Thursday, November 9th, I will be at Charlie Kirk at Turning Point USA's event at UCLA. On November 13th, I will be in Amarillo, Texas, giving a speech. I think it's the 13th. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's the 15th. No, it is the 15th. Oh, I've been saying the wrong date the entire time. Next Wednesday, the 15th, I will be in No, not next. Oh my gosh, the 15th. Don't listen to me. I'll be in Amarillo, Texas. If you live in that area and you want to come see me, fine. Message me. And then the comedy shows are in Idaho. Sorry, Twin. I don't even know why I'm announcing this. Is terrible. This is as bad as it gets. I can't remember where the thing is going. It's been a morning. I'll be in Twin Falls November 17th, which is a Friday, and then I'll be in Blackfoot, Idaho on November 18th, which is a Saturday. If you live in any of those areas, we're going to try this. If you live in any of those areas, find me on the internet, either on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, probably. Shoot me a message. I'll give you 2 free tickets because I'm just curious to see if anybody in that area. I know the reach on this show gets bigger as the day goes on, but I'm just curious. If you make it to the end of the show and you live in either the Twin Falls, Idaho area or the Blackfoot, Idaho's area, which is Pocatello and Idaho Falls, kind of in between those areas, shoot me a message. I'll send you 2 free tickets. Just because I'm curious to test the waters out to see if mentioning this stuff even matters at the end of the show, or I should just hop off and stop stealing airtime. So, yeah, if you live in those areas, would love to see you. But that'll do it for us today. Appreciate you sticking around, tuning in. We'll see you Monday, not tomorrow. Tomorrow's Saturday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy some fun in the sun, unless there's no more sun where you live, which is most of the country. But we'll see you on Monday. Same time, same place. God bless America.